How's it going, everybody? It's Stas here. So it was a crazy day in the markets today. The S&P went down 0.3%, the Dow went down 0.5%, the NASDAQ 100 went up a little bit, and the Russell went down 0.8%, not to mention the crypto market, which was a complete disaster today. We'll talk about all of this in this video, go over my thoughts on the market, stocks I'm looking at now, and what I'm doing now. So sit back, relax, take a sip of, well, today we got a little Monster action going on here. This is a pretty good drink. I actually never tried it till today. It's pretty good, right? It's called Monster Hydro. I don't know. Give it a shot, guys. And make sure to go down below and get yourself 2 stocks from WeBull. Those are valued up to $1,600. Simply deposit $100 and you get your 2 free stocks. So let's get into it, guys. Look, SPY had a bit of a relief rally, and across the board we saw a relief rally. Well, at least in the stock market. Well, in the crypto market, yeah, we also had a relief rally in the crypto market, but it was a disaster. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But overall on SPY, you guys can see here on the 5-day, 5-minute, and I did touch on this in the video from earlier today, but I'm still going to sum it up in this video as well. We had 2 days of selling, right? Including today's pre-market session. We went from 417 yesterday pre-market all the way down to 406 today pre-market. That was an $11 drop on SPY, equating to about 2.6%. And we got a bit of a rally, right? And you guys can see it here on the hourly chart. That rally started at 405, pretty much right at market open. And that was a higher low, considering the previous low was that low point from last week at $402. And the fact that the bulls came in and bought this dip, that's a good sign in the very short term. That is a good sign, because that means, hey, in the short term, we aren't going to go test that 402 level, but keyword there is short term. Who knows? Maybe tomorrow, maybe the next day, we do end up dumping back, breaking today's lows and going to that low from last week. That's still in the cards, but as of now, the bulls bought this dip up, and notice how we close right under 411. This is a bit worrisome for the bulls, considering 411 has been support all of the latter half of April into May a little bit. So obviously now that we broke under 411, it's become a resistance, and that's where we are. You know, I think this could very well be a bull trap. That's something I'm nervous about. We're also trading under the moving averages here on the hourly chart. We also see a death cross, 50 SMAs crossing under the 180 SMA. So I'm not convinced that this rally is us going back to all-time highs. I'm not convinced of that whatsoever. And again, I wouldn't be surprised if we did gap down tomorrow, and let's say we were to go back to 405, we take 405 out, we're probably going to test those lows from last week. Heck, we might even break those lows from last week. So be mindful of that. QQQ is pretty much the same price action, but there's a little difference here, which I believe does give the bulls some hope. But then again, this is a descending triangle overall on the hourly chart. We've been downtrending, making lower highs. So about 3 weeks at this point, right? We also see a death cross on this hourly chart, but we're holding 315 as of now like a rock, right? And one thing the bulls do have in their favor is this could be a double bottom. It very well could be. 314 held, 315 rather. It held yesterday, or that wasn't yesterday. Gosh, guys, that was more like the 13th of this month. And we held 315 today as well. So that's one bottom. And this is bottom number 2, where we held today. So this is it's a funky pattern, right? We have the descending triangle, but also a double bottom forming within it. So the question is, who's going to win this battle, the bulls or the bears, right? If the bulls break out of the moving averages here on the hourly chart, let's say we break out of that double top we called yesterday from the previous couple of days here at 328, that means the bulls would likely win in the short term, right? But the second we break 315, that descending triangle is going to play out, and that means the bears are going to win in the short term. And QQQ could very well go down to maybe $307. That is where it was late March. It could go down maybe to about $300. That is where it was, I believe, early maybe, what was that, February? No, it was actually early March. So yeah, 307, 301, that is where we could end up going if this descending triangle plays out, which I believe is very likely. On top of that, the VIX went up 4% today. Earlier in the day, it was up a lot more. I believe in my pre-market video, I mentioned the VIX was up like 14%, something crazy. So it did decline for the rest of the day, pretty much from market open, which makes sense considering the stock market did trend up for the rest of the day from market open for the most part, right? And the crypto market did a lot of the same. It did a lot of the same. If you guys saw my crypto video from this morning, my Bitcoin video, we talked a lot about it in that video, but if you didn't, let's sum it up quickly. And by the way, I'll link that video down below, the Bitcoin video. It's about a 10-minute video if you guys want to see a more in-depth video on what happened. But overall, look, we got a lot of FUD, not only from Elon Musk, but also from China. And the markets, well, the Bitcoin market, or rather the crypto market, completely collapsed. I mean, we're talking Bitcoin had a flash crash from 38,000 to 30,000. I mean, I was at the gym earlier this morning. It was like 8 a.m. on the East Coast, and I was looking at my Coinbase, and I was like, wow, Bitcoin, it's at 38,000. Then all of a sudden, I get home, I shower, whatever, and I get dressed, and I'm like, what the heck? Bitcoin's at 32,000. It hit 30,000. You know, that was a very quick flash crash we saw. We saw Cardano go down to $1.11, I believe was the low, right around there. Or maybe it was like $1.05. We saw Ethereum go low 2000s. I mean, this crash was ridiculous today. And at one point, you know, on Coinbase, how it says, if you go to the prices tab, it says at the top, market is up, whatever, market is down, whatever. Well, today it said market is down 30% when I looked at it. I'm sure it was worse at some point. So we got a ridiculous drop in the crypto market today. And the crazy thing is, which pissed me off a little bit, well, Voyager was down, Coinbase was down, Gemini was down. I didn't try Binance, but I'm sure Binance was down as well. And I wasn't able to buy anything. And once Coinbase allowed me to get back on, I mean, look, Bitcoin was at like 38, which, yeah, it's still a good price to buy in for the long term, but I wanted to get it at 32. I wanted to get it at 33, but I just wasn't able to. I wasn't able to get pretty much any crypto today. I didn't buy anything, but who knows? Maybe if I'm lucky, you know, the markets go down a bit lower and I might get that buying opportunity, but then we always run the risk of the Coinbases, the Voyagers, all of these exchanges, brokerages, whatever you want to call them going down, them having so much volume that the platform just can't handle it. It just can't handle it at the end of the day. And that scares me a bit, especially if you want to sell out of your crypto, you want to maybe obviously buy crypto like I wanted to today, but I wasn't able to. That worries me a little bit, guys. I'm not going to lie. And the fact that, okay, I don't have much money in crypto, so I'm not that worried. I mean, I don't have life-changing money in crypto, but I know some of you guys do. And the more money I had in crypto, the more I'd be nervous about not being able to access it, buy or sell or do whatever. So what do you guys think about that? Let me know down below in the comments. I'd love to know, as always, just your thoughts in general on what's going on. And listen, it's definitely fun. There could be some manipulation, right? I wouldn't be surprised if there was. And I almost forgot. Tesla, or rather Elon Musk, tweeted something like diamond hands or whatever about Bitcoin, and that's kind of a secret message that, well, it's not that secret. It's pretty obvious that Bitcoin, well, Tesla, they're not selling Bitcoin. They're diamond handing Bitcoin. So I guess that's a good sign. And who knows? Maybe they even bought more Bitcoin. I wouldn't be surprised if they were to buy more Bitcoin. And we'll see next filing, whatever. I'm sure maybe it'll pop in the news one of these days. If Elon maybe just says it, or maybe he already said it and I missed it. But overall, those are some thoughts. Let me know yours down below in the comment section. Make sure to smash the like button on this video if you guys are enjoying it so far. That really helps me out. And let's get into some stocks now. Cisco, CSCO, they just ended up reporting earnings today, and the stock is down big time. The stock closed at 52.47. Now it's trading under 50, trading in the mid 49s actually. And they did EPS of 83 cents versus 82 cents estimated. And revenue came in at $12.8 billion versus $12.56 billion estimated. So EPS beat by a little margin, right? Revenue beat by a wider margin there, so that is nice. And the thing is here that's probably hurting Cisco, maybe it's probably one of the factors. They see the next quarter adjusted EPS of 81 cents to 83 cents compared to the 85 cents estimate. So that's a bit underestimate, and they expect sales growth of 6 to 8% year over year. Maybe that is a bit soft compared to what was estimated. And look, we're seeing the big sell-off overall in Cisco, and let me double check the live news tab. Maybe there's something I am missing here. Not really anything I'm missing at this point. I guess a positive here is that they bought $2.1 billion of shares. They did a share buyback, so that's nice. If you guys don't know what that means, is in layman's terms, right? A company could buy back their own shares. And that simply reduces the existing shares in the market, thus making the shares that shareholders already own. So let's say, for example, I own Cisco and they did a buyback. It makes the shares that people already own more valuable, right? That is the idea. And over time, companies, or rather shareholders that own stocks, they like to see share buybacks. At least I do. Apple does a crap ton of share buybacks. That is a very positive thing. So check it out, guys. The way I drew this uptrend, as of now, it broke, right? It broke the uptrend. But if I redraw it, let me just redraw it. You guys can see, technically, yeah, it's still holding an uptrend at a higher low right now at about 49.50, right around there. So this could end up being a dip buy, maybe, right? Let's see if the dust settles and we end up consolidating maybe not mid 40s. That might be, or even then, it probably could go to mid 40s. Wherever the dust ends up settling, whether it's 45, 48, maybe it goes back to 50. I think once it cools off a bit, this could end up being a dip buy, as the overall trend is an uptrend. We're also seeing this looks like an ascending triangle, right? We have resistance at 53, but we're uptrending into that resistance. So ultimately, guys, Cisco, maybe if the ascending triangle plays out, this breaks out and takes the high out. And that pretty much depends on the markets. If the markets collapse, Cisco's probably going to collapse as well. But if we see a nice push in the markets, maybe that double bottom on QQQ ends up panning out. Let's say we break out on QQQ. Don't be surprised if Cisco did well as well, right? And if the markets did well, don't be surprised if Cisco did well, because the earnings weren't that bad. I don't even know why we're selling off aggressively here. Maybe let me know in the comments if I'm missing something. But overall, those are some thoughts on Cisco. Lowe's is another one, LOW, which I'm pretty interested in right now. The closer it gets to 180, right? 180, that was resistance back in the middle of October, also in the beginning towards the middle of February, and they just reported earnings, and I think the earnings were good, at least from the EPS and revenue numbers, right? EPS came in at $3.21 versus $2.54 estimated. Revenue came in at $24.4 billion versus $23.35 billion, and the stock's down on this earnings. Maybe guidance wasn't that great. I want to see what the same-store sales were. I actually missed that metric. Okay, look, same-store sales up 26%. That's great. The estimate for that was 20.7%. So same-store sales looking good. Maybe it's outlook. Maybe it's guidance that's not good for Lowe's. But either way, the closer it gets to 180, the better. Let's say hypothetically it got to 180. That would be roughly a 17% drop from that $215 high. That would be almost a bear market. And for me, I don't own Lowe's. I don't own Home Depot. That would be a potential buying opportunity as a swing trade, right? And also as a long-term investment. You guys forget Lowe's, Home Depot, although they might be boring companies, they are very strong companies. They really have no competitors other than each other. They're pretty much a duopoly. And they also pay dividends. I'm pulling up my Yahoo Finance app right now. Lowe's pays roughly a 1.2% dividend. That's not too bad. And the company's still growing at a decent clip with a PE ratio ratio of 24%, or not 24%, guys, gosh, a PE ratio of just 24. So I think this could be interesting, right? The closer it gets to 180, and if it breaks 180, right, even better, right? Even better. That'd be better in terms of a long-term position. Maybe as a swing trade, that wouldn't be the best, but yeah, that's some thoughts there on Lowe's. TTWO, also known as Take-Two Interactive Software. This one's up 7% today. I believe we got some price increases from some analysts. Credit Suisse increased their price target to 205 from 204. What? I mean, what's the point of even changing it at that point? I mean, from 205 to 204, or from 204 to 205, I mean, come on, that's some BS right there if you ask me. But yeah, they beat expectations, right, in terms of earnings. Did they report today? Or that was yesterday, actually. It looks like they did EPS of $1.88, and sales came in at $840 million, roughly. So I like this, but I just don't understand why, Credit Suisse increase the price target by literally $1. You might as well do it at like 220 or something. Why from 204 to 205? Anyway, that's besides the point. And TDWO, or rather TTWO, is now breaking out. It's breaking out of the downtrend it's been in ever since the beginning of February. We're trading above the moving averages at this point. So I think this is in play, right? I really think this is in play. And there could be an upside move towards 185. That was resistance earlier in April, and that could be a spot where you could argue it's a bit overbought. Heck, even here it's a bit overbought, so be careful of that. But overall, I like the momentum that is it's shifting, right? The bulls are gaining momentum here, and I'm thinking if 185 breaks, this thing could be off to the races, right? So watch out for TTWO. AMAT is another one, also known as Applied Materials. I believe they report maybe tomorrow, I think. Tomorrow after hours, they report earnings. This one's uptrending, making higher highs, higher lows. One thing that is worrisome, though, is although, yes, like I said, it is uptrending, we're actually trading under the moving averages. And we're also seeing a death cross here on the 4-hour chart, the 50 cross under the 180 moving average. So this one's in a funky spot. I would like to see it break ultimately above 125. I'm going to put an alert at 125. If this level could break, that was resistance the past couple of days, also today and back in February leading into March. If this could break, I'm thinking 130 could be the next move, which is right by the 180 SMA here on the 4-hour chart. And if 130 is able to break, that is where we could see the full-on breakout on Applied Materials. So I'm going to set an alert at 125. I might put another one at $130 per share. So I'll put one at 125. I'll set another one up for $130. So watch out for Applied Materials. This is a pretty interesting stock. It's done very well over the past couple of months, so keep that in mind. It could be priced to perfection like a lot of these stocks. So if they don't do that well in terms of earnings, hey, the stock could go down and maybe that death cross gets uglier. Maybe we start going down towards the low hundreds, maybe back into the 90s. But as of now, we're holding. The bulls are fighting, and they're trying to get back over 130, and we'll see if they end up being successful. The next stock is good old Foot Locker, which I ended up selling way too early. If you guys remember months ago, Foot Locker is one that I was buying. I forget exactly the price. I hate to say it, but I forget the price. But I believe it was in maybe the low to mid 30s, or maybe even under that. Maybe in the 20s I was buying it. It was months ago, guys. And like I always say, when I buy stocks for the long term, I don't memorize my cost basis. I'm not watching it every day. I just buy in, forget about it, and a couple months down the line, couple years down the line, depending on what I want to do, I end up selling out or I just continue holding. In this case, I sold out and I reinvested that money into some other stocks. Again, I couldn't even tell you because money's always moving around in my accounts. So yeah, I reinvested that money. I believe I sold out at about like 45, maybe $50. And now, like I said, we're sitting at 60. I sold a bit too early, but it's okay. It's okay, guys. You'll live, you'll learn, you make mistakes. And I don't even consider this a mistake because I still made money and I reinvested that money into another stock, which long term, yeah, I believe all my stocks are going to do well. Are all of them going to do well? No. The truth is you are going to pick some stocks that don't do well, but I'm confident in what I do own as of now. And you guys can see the trend on Foot Locker looks pretty good. We just hit a high at $66. Now we're down to about $61. So we're about $4 or $5 off the high, down about 8 to 10%. And they report earnings, I believe, tomorrow. Yeah, or actually, no, 2 days from now. Foot Locker reports earnings, so I'm excited to see what they do. Maybe we could get a little run-up play into earnings. Maybe after earnings, it dips a bit lower. We can get a further dip by. So I'm watching Foot Locker here. I'm also watching the energy stocks, Exxon in particular. Exxon is down about $5-6 from the high, down 8 to 10%. We're also maintaining an uptrend like Foot Locker. You guys can see we're at a higher low right now at $58, $59, holding above the 180 SMA as well. And this is a textbook ascending triangle. We haven't broken out of $63, $64, which is the resistance, but we've been uptrending into it, right? We've been uptrending into it. And this spot right here, 59, this could be the spot where we bounce back up and pretty much fill the gap to 63, 64 again, which again is that level of resistance, which from where we are now, like I said, is about 8%, actually more like 7% from where we are. So that is how much money we could potentially make if things go perfectly, which they probably won't, guys. Let's be honest. When do they ever go perfectly in the stock market? I mean, sometimes things go perfectly, but a good amount of times they don't, which is why you always have to be prepared and have a plan in place. And the last stock for today is CL, and the last stock for today is Colgate Palmolive, ticker symbol CL. You guys can see this is an inverse head and shoulder, a textbook inverse head and shoulder that we actually called out recently a couple weeks ago, and I'm not sure if any of you guys called it, but now that we're pulling back the chart, pulling up the chart again rather, it's doing well. It's done very well, and I believe there's more upside. I think this could end up filling up to about $86, $87. That is about a couple percentage points from where we are now. We're talking 3 to 4%. And on the 3-year chart, you guys can see that there's an ascending triangle as well forming on CL, which leads me to believe even more that we can go to $86. So watch out for CL and all of those stocks we talked about today. I hope you all enjoyed the video. If you did, feel free to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel. I looked at my analytics, guys. A lot of you are not subscribed. You're not. So if you are not subscribed, subscribe to the channel. Check out my Patreon down below if you want real-time buy and sell alerts, call outs, what I'm doing in the markets, real time. You want a morning update video every day and more access to me throughout the day. All of that's on Patreon, link down below, or you can go to patreon.com/DasSurFest. That's patreon.com/DasSurFest. And don't forget to also get your 2 free stocks from WeBull. Those are valued up to $1,600 with a deposit of $100. You could also deposit $100 into M1 Finance, get $30 free from them, and $10 from Coinbase. All of those are linked right down below. And did I mention all of those are free? Yeah, they're free. Link down below. Check them out. I'll see you all later. Thanks for tuning in again. As always, keep crushing the markets. Stay safe out there, guys. Peace out.